Hey, what's going on everyone? Greg here, and Google sent me a Team Pixel box, complete with a Pixel 3a inside of this box, and I gotta say, they made the right choice. They reached out to probably the best known tech YouTuber out there, Greg's Gadgets. They didn't go to Pixel Boy or MKHDVD or Floss or the captain of Team Pixel or Unbox Anger Management. No, they came to Greg's Gadgets. And I gotta say, Google really went all out with this. They even customized the box and put a G on it for Greg's Gadgets. So let's go ahead and open up this Team Pixel box. So as we open up the Team Pixel box, you'll see that we are greeted with the Google Pixel 3a and a Google Pixel 3 case. Google also sent me other goodies like a tote bag and a pop socket. But what we really care about on this channel is the Google Pixel 3a itself. So let's open that up and see what it's all about. So the Pixel 3a is very interesting. It is a phone that is aimed at a budget audience starting at $399, which is very different from the $1,000 flagships that we're getting used to. A pretty nice box. I like that Google really went out of their way for the Greg's Gadgets G on the top, although I think they got it a little bit wrong compared to mine. And if you look on the back, you'll see that we have the hashtag Team Pixel. So as we open up this box, we are greeted with the Google Pixel 3a. So of course, we also have documentation, and we also get things like an 18-watt power adapter, so it's ready to fast charge out of the box, and also a USB-C cable because the Google Pixel 3a supports USB-C. So as you can see, as we take out the phone, we have the Google Pixel 3a. Now, one of the things about the Pixel 3a is that it doesn't have this bezel-less screen design where the screen goes edge to edge. It kind of opts for a more traditional side with a forehead and a chin. If you look at the bottom of the device, you'll notice that we have a USB-C port and then two speaker grills. On the side, you'll find the sleep-wake button and then the volume up and down button. On the top of the 3a, you'll also find a headphone jack, which the more expensive Google Pixel 3 and Google Pixel 3 XL don't include. On the back of the phone, you'll find a single lens camera. Google is saying that this is the same camera found in the Pixel 3 and Pixel 3 XL, and one of the main benefits of those phones is that it has a very good still camera. So I'm definitely going to have to do some tests and see just how well this camera holds up, especially on a $400 phone. On the back, you'll also find a fingerprint sensor. One of the reasons why the Google Pixel 3a does come in at $399 is because the body of this phone is made from polycarbonate, which is basically plastic. And I can't believe the personalization that Google put into this device by putting a G for Greg on there. I really do appreciate that, guys. So now that we got that unboxing out of the way, I think we gotta take this Team Pixel box and I think we gotta say goodbye to this Apple stuff. We'll just put that right there, and you know, we'll take this Pixel 3a box as well and we'll just put it there. All right, so I took some time to update the Google Pixel 3a and play around with it. So these are just my first initial impressions with using the phone. This is in no way a full review. So I think one of the things that worried me the most about the Pixel 3a was the fact that it was using a plastic body. But I gotta say, after using this phone, after holding it for a little while now, the plastic actually feels really good. The build feels solid on this phone. It doesn't feel like it's creaky or anything, and it doesn't really feel that cheaply made. I always think back to that iPhone 5C unveiling where they had a plastic body and Johnny Ive said it was beautifully, unapologetically plastic. And maybe I'm getting the same vibes from this. This is a plastic phone, but they did it in a really nice way. Another thing I realized while using the Pixel 3a is that even though I thought this was a smaller smartphone, it's not really that small in comparison to something like a XS Max, and I believe that's because it is not an all-screen design, so you still have a top forehead and a bottom chin, and that really does contribute a lot to the size of this phone. Another thing about the Pixel 3a was that Google said that it would have an OLED screen. So the Pixel 3a has a 5.6-inch display at 2220 by 1080, which translates to 441 pixels per inch. With a high-resolution screen, reading text was very sharp. Any videos that I've been watching with the Pixel 3a seem to have really good color. And getting an OLED display in a $400 phone is a pretty good thing. Now, just because it's OLED and just because it has that nice pixel density doesn't mean that it's going to measure up to flagship displays. I'd say one glaring weakness that I'm noticing with the Pixel 3a is that it doesn't get as bright as the other flagship level smartphones. Of course, I still want to test it out more before I give my full opinion on the display, I have to say, for $400, this thing looks pretty good. Although the display looks fine at first glance, another cost-cutting measure that Google made with the Pixel 3a was not to include Gorilla Glass with it. Apparently this is called Dragon Tail Glass, and so far I don't really have any scratches on the display, but I really haven't been using it in a day-to-day scenario, so that's one of the questions for me: is this phone going to be as durable as the Gorilla Glass displays that we see in other smartphones? Another cost-saving measure was that Google didn't incorporate two front-firing speakers on the 3a, opting instead to place a front-firing speaker in the earpiece and then a bottom-firing speaker. You might even think with that change in speaker location that it's really going to affect the sound, but I found that listening to the Pixel 3a, the speakers sounded pretty good. Now, one thing I have been noticing as we're talking about the speakers is that I really don't like the volume placement on this phone. It's on the right-hand side and it's below the sleep-wake button, and I just really find that I'm not hitting it naturally. Like, I have to train my brain to remember where the volume buttons are, and then I have to go press it, but that's just a small nitpick for now. Again, I haven't been using the phone that long. Other features like the rear fingerprint sensor work really accurately and quickly. So I think almost anyone in the tech space would tell you that the biggest asset to the Google Pixel line of phones is their camera. Now, as I said before in the video, Google is promising the same level of performance in the 3a's camera as the more expensive Google Pixel 3 and Google Pixel 3 XL. Now, this is a feature that I really want to test out with my full review, but here are a few sample snapshots that I just took, and from what I can tell, the camera is performing admirably so far. Which is great, because on a $400 phone, I would say one of the areas where other phones might make a compromise is in the camera. And by Google offering probably one of its best exclusive features on a more budget-oriented phone, it really does make you question if the Google Pixel 3 or the 3 XL is worth it, especially an extra $400 over this guy, the 3a. Now, I have to be honest with you, I'm not used to reviewing more budget-oriented phones, but one phone I did used to use, and I think draws a lot of parallels to the Google Pixel 3a, is the iPhone SE. At the time when the iPhone SE came out, it also debuted for $400, and it packed in a lot of really good flagship features in a phone that wasn't too expensive. At the time, the iPhone SE had one of the best smartphone cameras out there. And the iPhone SE also came equipped with the A9 processor, the best smartphone processor at the time. And that is one of the differences between the iPhone SE and the Google Pixel 3a, because the Pixel 3a doesn't have the best processor available. So although everything has been running fine on my end so far, I haven't noticed any slowdowns, one of the biggest questions to me regarding the Pixel 3a is how it's going to perform over time, because Google, and probably the most cost-saving measure yet on this phone, opted in to put a much weaker processor in it. The Pixel 3a has a Snapdragon 670 compared to the Google Pixel Snapdragon 845. If you run a benchmarking app like Geekbench, you get a single core score of 1,620 and a multi-core score of 5,142. Now, on paper, this is weaker than the iPhone 7. And I know a lot of people don't care about smartphone specs, they just want to know if the phone works well, but it does still have real-world consequences. So even though this has the same camera as the Pixel 3, you can't do 4K 60 frames per second on the 3a because of the weaker chipset. You can only do 4K at 30. And even this example might not be the biggest issue to most people, but it's just something that I could point out right now. With that slower performance in the processor, it might impact other things that you're used to on a premium flagship smartphone. For example, if you're playing the latest and greatest games, you might get downscaled resolution, decreased drawing distances, or a lower frame rate. And over time, I just wonder if that weaker chipset is going to impact the Pixel 3a, and in real-world usage, what kind of effects that's going to have. And unfortunately for you guys watching this video, that's going to require a lot more testing on my end before I can draw a final conclusion. And it's funny, as I'm using this Pixel 3a, I'm noticing that a lot of the problems I had with my Pixel 3 XL, I'm not noticing on a phone that is a lot less money. Now, as the title of this video suggests, I will be switching from the iPhone XS Max, probably one of the most expensive smartphones out there, to the Google Pixel 3a. I think this would be a really good juxtaposition to see what I'm giving up on my iPhone versus the more budget-oriented $400 Pixel 3a, compared to a $1,149 iPhone. All right, everyone, hopefully this video helped you out. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, make sure you give me a like. If you want to see more from my channel, make sure you're subscribed. If you have any questions regarding the Google Pixel 3a, make sure you leave them in the comments below so I can address them in a full review. If you're interested in the Google Pixel 3a, or if you want to support the channel in any way, make sure you check out some of the links in the description. And as always, I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.